My name is Benjamin Smith. The school that I went to was through UCF's Southeast Center for Photographic Studies program. It was a perfect program for me. What it was essentially is 2 years of technical school about photography. So you have the basics, darkroom classes, you have your film processing, all of the digital manipulation courses, the studio courses, get the idea of lighting down. You have now the technical skills and you use those to make whatever your ideas are for the conceptual basis that you'll have in those last 2 years. Always putting out these new works and new portfolios and constantly churning out new things tended to be a bit overbearing and a lot to take, but in the end it was extremely useful and very, very helpful for the future. You could want to quit at a certain point, and I did in my third year. I was over it and done and was going to stop, but thankfully, parental units, they talked me into just completing it, get the bachelor's, get the degree, get the piece of paper. So very thankful that I did, and it was well worth it. So the first 3 years were amazing and absolutely unforgettable, but the last year made it a bit difficult. Thankfully, I did have a couple friends that I was in the program with that were absolutely fantastic, and they were along the same page as me, where they were there for the conceptual aspect and they loved the artistry, and it was about the love of photography for them as opposed to the more of the commercial aspect and the trend and things of that nature. I would definitely advise going to a school that caters to you in whatever aspect that may be. So in your search of where you want to go for college, if it's going to be in the field of art, definitely pay attention to what professors that you're going to have. Kind of do some research on them, check what types of art they do and if they align with what type of art you do, because then of course the more like you are your professors, the better and more beneficial your teaching is going to be. You don't really know what a school is like. You can see their website and you can get their information on the packets and paper and everything, but that's with anything that you look at in life, of like furniture or whatever. If you don't see it in person, you don't really get the true idea of what it's going to be like. So seeing that campus, seeing what the housing situation's like, seeing what the professors and students are like is very, very crucial, in my opinion, to figuring out where you want to go, because that definitely lets you know of whether or not a place is right for you. So with the tour, you have that experience of knowing, yes, okay, this is something I do want, this is something I don't want. I'm not a very confrontational person whatsoever, but the assignment was to go out and photograph Daytona Bike Week. And it's something that we've been assigned before. It was a very basic assignment that I didn't agree with, because it was essentially finding a person, taking a portrait of them on a basic background, and getting a front view and a side view. Essentially, I felt like it was a mugshot. And instead, I took a photo of my friend who's a biker, bicyclist. So took a photo of him against like a regular backdrop, front view, side view, and turned that in. It was fine. But that was one of the first moments that I had been rebellious in that kind of a circumstance. I can be a little bit rebellious in the actions that I do, of kind of just small, tiny things, but that was outwardly just an outright no. All of the professors left lasting impressions. It was just more of a long-term type of a thing as opposed to a specific instance. I definitely use a lot of the skill sets that they gave me from college today in my full-time job at the museum, working as a curatorial assistant. I did take a framing internship, so that's helped in some aspects with the museum where we have to unframe or frame works or work with the framer, so I definitely know more of what I'm talking about, of course, than I would have if I hadn't done that internship. One of the specific professors at the program, he was a no excuses, get it done no matter what type of a professor, so he was very much so in the time management aspect, and you had to have it done properly, the assignment on time, everything perfect. Otherwise, that's, sorry, you didn't do it, no excuses. So that definitely helped a lot, because it makes you adhere to your word and adhere to deadlines a lot more than I would have otherwise, because it was one of those instances where you have to get it done. Figure it out, be creative, do what you need to do, but you have to get this done. Even if it's horrible, even if it's crappy, you need to turn something in. You have a deadline, So there were a lot of aspects from school that I definitely use today. And I even have been editing photos at the museum as well, things like that I learned from school. So I wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. So school definitely left me with a lot of tools that I could use for the future, that's for certain.
Okay.